All right, like this story is so crazy. So Viktor Bout, he was exchanged for Brittney Griner. So Brittney Griner, y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all already know this. This was massive news last week. Brittney Griner is coming back to America in exchange for Viktor Bout. But the interesting thing here, Viktor Bout, he's already doing interviews. He's already doing interviews, and he said something so spot on about Christianity. And I never thought I would be agreeing with a convicted Russian arms dealer. But when it comes to what he just said, yo, he's spitting facts. And I want to show you exactly what he said, and then let's have a conversation about it, because this is super interesting.
Do you hate America?
No. You know, in fact, knowing many inmates, I figure out we're sharing way more common. Maybe America is very much similar. Look, it's the same size, it's the same kind of this, and when you talk to them, there is nothing there even to beef about. We are naturally, born not to be enemies. And whenever there's conflict, it's elites. Every, American I met in a prison who is from rural area was very easy to deal with. He has no problem with Russia, and he was curious about Russia, despite all propaganda. They're losing their Christian values. They're losing their families. They're losing literally their countries. It's not anymore the same country. We knew America, who used to be a model for entire world and lead and be an example, like they say, a shiny town on the, sparkling town on a hill. And this is, of course, pity. It was a strong country who was really a, industrial might, this one. And look, for 30, 40 years, deindustrialization, drug problem, crime waves. You can understand, and I feel more empathy to American after this experience than I would feel any hate.
Wow. So you can't deny the fact, whatever you want to believe. If you think this is just Russian propaganda, then whatever. But is he telling the truth or not? He's telling the truth. America is straying so far away from God. We're losing our Christian values rapidly. We're losing our family, what it means to be a family, the concept of marriage, the concept of a man is a man, a woman is a woman, that we're losing so much of the values that this country was built upon. And just like he's saying, America used to be at one point in time looked up to as this nation that was the model for all nations around the world because of the values, because of the hard work, because of the freedom that was advertised. But now we're literally imploding. We're literally imploding. We are deteriorating from the inside out. But why is that? Why is that? And how come a Russian's arms dealer is more able to identify that than our own leadership within this country? It's very, very interesting. But you know what? I thought about something when he was saying that. I thought about 1 Kings 11, specifically about King Solomon. So King Solomon, king of Israel, right? So he took the throne after his father, King David, died, passed the throne on to him. King Solomon was known to be, and still is, the wisest person who will ever live. God made him the wisest person who will ever live. And also, I believe, the richest, the wealthiest person who will ever live. So this is a dude who was in charge of Israel for, I think, about 40 years. Prosperous, had everything, knew everything, but yet he still experienced a great falling away. And it says that in Solomon's old age, his heart turned to worship other gods instead of being completely faithful to the Lord, his God, as his father David had been. And the reason why Solomon's heart turned away from God was because Solomon went against the orders of God. God told Solomon, don't go, messing around with these other women from these other nations, because if you start marrying these other women from these other nations, you'll start to adopt their ideas. You'll start to adopt their beliefs. You'll start to worship their gods. And that's exactly what happened. Solomon had over 700 wives, 300 concubines. A lot of them were from other nations who did not believe in the true God that brought Solomon to that place. His wives didn't believe in that. His wives believed in Moloch, for example, the god of child sacrifice. And now the same wicked, false gods that his wives believed now infected Solomon's heart. And those ideas, those beliefs drove Solomon far away from God. And he ended up essentially losing everything. Because after Solomon's reign came to an end, Solomon's son took over. But at that point, the nation was split into two. The kingdom was split into two. And, it's interesting because if you look at America, there's a lot of people within positions of leadership within America who think that they know it all, who think that they know that they have all the answers, who think that they're immune to the same devastation and destruction that we've seen happen to past powerful nations. We've seen great nations come and we've seen great nations fall. And for some reason, I think the leadership in America thinks that we're immune to that. And it's rooted in a place of pride. It's rooted in a place of pride. But just like Viktor Bout was saying in this interview, we're losing our Christian values. We're straying further and further away from God. And the further that we stray away from God, the more and more our hearts are going to become wicked, and our hearts are going to become solid and prideful. And we're going to experience a time in America like we've never experienced before for a lot of us, because we're used to being so prosperous. We're used to being the top dog. We're used to being the one that everyone looks up to, just like, Victor was saying. But a time is coming, and it's going to happen a lot faster than people realize, where we're not going to be on top. Goldman Sachs is already predicting that China to overtake the US around 2035, while India should catch up by 2075. So we're already going to see a time very, very soon in 2035 where the GDP, so basically how they measure the strength and the value of our economy, China is going to overtake us. In what is that? In 10 years, 12 years? China is expected to overtake us. And then 2075, India is going to overtake us. So we're going to experience a time where we're no longer going to be the place that everyone looks up to for a lot of reasons. From a value standpoint, from a freedom standpoint, from a religious standpoint, from a economic standpoint, we're going to face a time where we're going to start to fall and we're going to start to crumble. Now, I don't want to see that happen, but the Bible already predicts that. We already know the prophecy. We already know all the great nations. At some point, all the great nations have to fall. The Bible says that this earth is going to pass away. Everything on this earth passes away. Ecclesiastes, I think this is chapter 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. It says, history merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. Nothing is new. Literally, nothing is new. Everything that we're experiencing today has already happened. God has already seen everything that we're experiencing today, and God knows what's going to happen. If you read the Bible, you already know what's going to happen. You know what, the prophecy, what Revelation tells us is going to happen. But a lot of us are not going to be prepared for it. Specifically, a lot of us who do not know God, we're not going to be prepared to not be on top, to not have the best economy, to not, be the place where everyone strives to want to, move to and uproot their entire family and risk everything to get to America, the land of the free. There's going to be a time where people aren't going to want to come here. It's already happening. It's already happening. We're already experiencing a falling in terms of how prosperous and how powerful this nation is. It's already happening, but it's going to be even more rapid as the data indicates. And a lot of us are not going to be prepared for that. A lot of us are going to be confused. And just to continue on the point that Christianity is declining in America, I don't know if y'all seen this statistic, but I brought this up, I think a few episodes ago, I brought this up. But, so right now, 64% of people say that they're Christian in America. So 64% of the US population says that they are Christian. But guess what? By 2070, it's predicted that less than 40% will say that they're Christian. Less than 40%. And what's interesting? As more and more people denounce Christianity, denounce their faith, leave their faith, become atheists, don't claim any religion, as more and more people leave Christianity, it has an impact on, the strength and of our economy. It has an impact on how other nations view us. It has an impact on, the favor that we have with God as a nation. Because if you look back, a lot of the founding, fathers of this nation had Christian values in mind when they started this nation. And now we're falling away from that at a rapid pace. At a rapid pace. And it's just interesting that it's like, it takes a Russian arms dealer, a lot of people would say, is a terrorist, to highlight that and point that out, whereas our own leadership within America can't even point that out. So it's interesting. And also, I don't know, and this is not to bash on Brittney Griner, but Viktor Bout is already doing interviews. Have we heard anything from Brittney Griner? Has she said anything? Has she made any statements publicly? I'm really just asking. So if she has, let me know in the comments if she has, but I don't think we've heard anything from Brittney Griner. So it'll be interesting to see what she says. But if you haven't seen my initial reaction to the news, the Brittney Griner news, I'll link that video right now and you can check it out. But let me know what you think. Get in my comments and join the conversation. Like this video, subscribe. I'm out.